Good Shabbos. For the last few weeks, our hearts have been focused in Buffalo. When the Bills football player Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field during the national broadcast, when the training staff and medical team rushed to his side, who wasn't moved by the outpouring of support, his amazing recovery, and that days later, when he finally regained consciousness and communicate, his first words were a question: who won the game? And that his doctors responded, you did. I think we all did, as we're inspired by Damar's story, his community work, the response of the larger community, and his personal recovery. We are reminded of the biggest questions in life. Life truly is about the questions that we ask ourselves and how we respond to them. This week, we mark the 50th yahrzeit of one of the last generation's leading Jewish thinkers, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, famous for his saying, "When I was young, I admired clever people, but now that I am old, I admire kind people." Born in Warsaw, teaching in Germany just before the Shoah, Rabbi Heschel was able to flee Nazi Europe and come here to America, spending the majority of his career as a professor at JTS in our rabbinical school. As a leading voice for morality in America, a civil rights activist joining Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to march in Selma, where our own teenagers will be marching in 2 weeks from now. A gifted writer, theologian, and speaker, considered a modern-day prophet, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, in his book, No Religion is an Island, wrote these words: "Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. And yet being alive is no answer to the problems of living. To be or not to be is not the question. The vital question is how to be and how not to be. We have a tendency to forget this vital question, how to be and how not to be." The heart of our Parsha this week's Torah reading, is another question. In Parshat Shemot, the beginning of the story of our Exodus, living under Pharaoh's oppression and enslavement and edict to kill Jewish babies, Moses is born to Jewish parents in protest and resistance. Moses is raised in the royal palace through the compassion of Pharaoh's daughter. Moses flees when he sees the immorality and oppression of his ancestral people. He lives in the wilderness as a shepherd. And when in the midst of driving his flock, Moses passes by a lowly desert bush, a thorn bush that catches his eye. It is an ordinary plant, but there is something extraordinary about it. It's a plant that is burning, but is not consumed. Aglow with a divine fire, miraculously not consumed. Moses understood this was surely a holy place and a siman tov, a sign meant for him. At that moment, an angel appears and God speaks directly to Moses, charging him with his mission to return to Egypt, to confront Pharaoh, to lead the people to freedom, to let my people go. But at that moment, at the burning bush, when God speaks to him first, Moses responds to God's call and challenge with a question: Mi anochi, who am I? Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and free the Israelites from Egypt? Why me? What can I do for myself? How can I be the one who is worthy? How will I succeed? Am I qualified? Who am I to lead my people? Commentators understand this as a sign of Moses' great humility, or perhaps his fear of failure, a hesitant leader. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote these words, quote, "Humanity can only thrive when challenged, when called upon to answer new demands. We must act, and what is required is a breakthrough, a leap of action. Religion is a demand, and God is a challenge." When the Torah asks in Moses' words, "Mi anochi, who am I?" Moses' question is the same question that we ask ourselves often, perhaps every day. Whether it is when we look at ourselves inward or when we look outward on our world, at our community, at our nation, our family. When we see wrong, when we see injustice, when we see a need or those suffering, and we look inside at ourselves and we say, Mi anochi, Who am I? Am I the type of person that I'm meant to be? Can I be better? Can I do better to better our world? Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory writes in his response to Moses' self-reflective question in our Torah portion, Mi Anochi, who am I? That question that Moses actually answers himself. Rabbi Sachs wrote these words, quote, biblical heroes become heroes of the moral life against their own will. There was work to be done. God told them what to do, and they did it. Their sense of smallness is a sense of greatness. Moses could have stayed a prince living in luxury his entire life. He could have remained a shepherd in the desert. Jewish by birth, he had not suffered like his brothers or sisters, yet he could not walk away. Because, Mi Anochi, who am I? I am I. I am I who, because of my people, I am part of my people forever. This Shabbat, today and every day, we also ask ourselves that same question. Mi Anochi, who are we? Who are we meant to be? Moses, Rabbi Heschel, and the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whom we remember and honor this weekend, asked that same question of us. They inspire us to ask that question every day. As Dr. King said, quote, the ultimate measure of man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And this quote as well. Life's most precious and urgent question is, what are you doing for other people? And now we return to Buffalo, the center of the last few weeks. What are we doing? Who am I? Mi Anochi. If there is a need, do we stand up and take action? Vivian and Al Robinson were so looking forward to spending the holidays with their children, their 9 children, who were now all grown up, and were bringing their families home to Buffalo for Christmas. Vivian and Al spent the week before the holiday shopping to get enough food and supplies for their extended visit from their large family. In Buffalo, where they live, they were hit the worst in the December blizzard, named the bomb cyclone, the deadly storm. Al was a pastor at Spirit of Truth Urban Ministry, and as the weather turned, he and Vivian sprung into action, recognizing the immediate need in their neighborhood when 12-foot snowdrifts and sub-freezing temperatures were claiming lives. They enlisted the help of a friend who owned a snowmobile. They put out the word that their church was fully stocked, open, and ready, a safe haven for anyone who needed to ride out the storm. Just come to the church, they said. Bring your family, bring your cats, bring your dogs, and the snowmobile was ready to pick you up and bring you to safety. It so happened that Vivian and Al had actually just purchased a nearby rehab facility that had gone bankrupt, and the rehab center's extra mattresses were in the church's storeroom. So off they went, creating a shelter with beds and all. Their front doors were electronic. They were afraid that if the power went out in their church, the doors would cut off and lock everyone from the outside. So Vivian and Al broke their doors down, leaving them open to all in need. All in all, Vivian and Al's church hosted 130 Buffalo residents, ranging from a 92-year-old on oxygen to a 9-month-old using their baby formula that they had in stock. And Vivian and Al's holiday shopping spree provided all enough food and supplies in order to weather the storm. Pastor Al credits his faith for his ability to assist others, saying, "We weren't expecting any chaos at all, but we need to recognize that if God has given us the ability to help someone else, it's incumbent upon us to help others in need." Every day we must be like Vivian and Al. We must ask ourselves, Mi Anochi, who am I? How can I step up, stand up, and help others? As Rabbi Heschel says, just to be is a blessing, just to live is holy. And yet being alive is no answer to the problem of living. To be or not to be is not the question. The vital question is how to be and how not to be. Shabbat Shalom.